Just a series of questions for historical context.
Okay.
Between 1960 and 1982, what did black men do for a living exactly?
What were they doing without being employed?
Yeah.
This is the problem. Being arrested. And the drug war was starting to take off. The drug war expanded. The prison industry started to really blow up. There are all sorts of things, right? And then they just relied on whatever they could rely on. Like this is when like a secondary economy really emerged in the United States. So people are working in the other economy. So it's not like people weren't employed. They were employed, but they're employed in the secondary economy, not in the official economy, right? Yes. Ma'am.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about like in 1982, why that number of employed black men like probably decreases. Like that was the spark of the crime war. So basically, like crack hit the black neighborhoods.
Yep.
And like I would say like you could have turned away from it and say no, but like you have to think like a lot of people are having an opportunity to make quick money, and like you want to provide for your family, so you have to think of that in terms of like men making money. And then like most of these men's like these neighborhoods were getting raided, so men were like losing. Obviously you wouldn't be working in jail, so it's like the numbers are decreasing, so that's why the employment for black men might have declined.
Yep, that's one, and then the whole neighborhood's transition, right? It's
And
white flight.
gentrification as well.
If you go you think about that this is good. We're going to come back to this. Thanks. If you go back to that graph with it, where it went really high up, the 100-year graph, all that money is also just going out to the suburbs and the cities. Now, the black and brown population has really gone into the cities, but there's no base upon which the cities can really thrive because all the money now went out to the burbs. Do you guys know about Jim Crow? Can you just say something about Jim Crow, what it was?
Yeah, they enacted some laws that were pretty fucked up. That was kind of the response to black people getting their freedoms. Like, oh, you guys are free? Psych, dickhead, you ain't free. But
Yeah, like what? Yeah. Like everything, right? Everything. It really is like a psych. You're not. You think you're free, but you're not free. So Jim Crow is a way to say, hey, we're going to separate people. We're going to make sure that no matter what happens, you're not going to get the same opportunities. So you're going to go to different schools, this, different that. It's just the nature of things. Separate drinking fountains, separate, ride in the back of the bus. It's not just riding on the back of the bus. It's like you're not going to have a job. You're not going to get the union jobs. You're going to get a job here. You're not going to get a job there. You're just not going to. White people, it's just not going to happen that way. And so black people started to come together to say, we need to start demanding our rights. And look, see these gentlemen right here, 55? They're not right off out of the fields. These are distinguished, educated human beings that are walking down the street saying, please, we want our rights. We demand our rights. This is the United States of America. That's what the civil rights movement was. Just give us the same. We don't want special rights. We just want the rights that everybody else has. Here's another protest in Mississippi. Look at this. See who these men and women and children were. They're really just saying, like, come on. You got all these years of these just really dastardly, just deep inequality, unfairness, which is so unfair for, you just don't understand the nature of how deep these divisions were. And they're saying, no, please give it to us. It was years and years and years of mobilizing and marches and one thing after another. Okay, next one. This is in Chicago. And there are a lot of white people in this crowd also. It's like, it wasn't just in the South, it's in the North. It's like, just saying, come on, let's go. And remember the numbers that I put up? See, they're living these numbers. And they're saying, this is like 2 out of 3 black children under the age of 18 is living in poverty. This is not acceptable. So they march. Okay, next one. And it's not just black people, but white people and brown people. Asian people, Latino people, Hispanics, but mostly Mexicans if they were Hispanic, but mostly black and white. Mostly black, really led by people who were black. And go to the next one. And so here's a response, right? This was the March to Selma. That's John Lewis, by the way, who's getting the shit kicked out of him. You know, white people could have just said, all right, man, all y'all marching, you're finally coming together. Okay, here you go, right? But man, not in every single instance. But people responded with a brutality. He was like a young, at that time he's a young, very like smart, very distinguished college student who had, I think he had just graduated at that time, right? And they're just walking to ask for voting rights. Just voting rights, just let us vote. And this was the way we responded. They weren't violent. They're just, we just want rights. Rights. And you think about the inequality, money-wise and so on, you say, they're just asking for that. Go to the next one. Here we got the dog here on this guy. It's just like, I could show lots of photos. And I can also show lots of photos where the police weren't doing that. The police were just there being intimidating. But, it's like, y'all like, wait, so... White people didn't just sit back and say what Ian said. No, but the opposite of what you said. You know what? God, this isn't a very Christian way of building a nation. We were wrong. Here you go. It didn't happen that way. So you wonder, why Martin Luther King, y'all, right? Why the civil rights movement? Why do we acknowledge this person on this day? Because this is a wound in the United States that really has never had the opportunity to fully heal. It did heal a great deal, right? This is not happening in this same way at all. So go to the next one. And here's a response, 1957. Look at the sign. So these are white people. This is a response by white people. They weren't just calling the police out. White people were saying, you will not go to our schools. You will not ride on our buses. You will not be part of my world. It's like, white people, not only did they reject it, they responded violently against it. Like, violently. It's like, God, we could have just said, okay. And so this is this thing here where we say, and all through all of this, somehow, I want to go back. I want to show you this for a second. Here, watch this. Right? Bro, stand up again. So what's your name, by the way? Mike? So here's Mike. So remember who Mike is. So Mike's like the guy that started in slavery, and then he goes through Jim Crow, and now he's moved a couple steps, right? But now I want to come up to 1980, 1990, 2020. Somehow stop right there. So Mike's gone a few more steps in terms of his wealth and so on. But like somehow he's supposed to have really caught up with us. Not all white people, by the way, right? It's like, but he hasn't, and he can't. Like it's just like some people have. There are black people in this room who are far wealthier than many white people in this room. Okay? You get that. So do not think that black people in America, those are medians. People are all poor. It's like, and white people are all rich. That's not the case. So just understand, we're looking at these numbers. Okay, let me show you a couple more. Here's another one. We want a white school. It was like, yeah, no, you're not going to be part of this. You're not going to be part of our world. You're not going to be part of that. Confederate flags everywhere. Confederate flags in the north, Confederate flags in the south. You get it, right? You see it? Like,
these people wanted all white schools and to go to schools with the same people as their skin color. Then today we have black churches and white churches, black neighborhoods and white neighborhoods. Why isn't this thing looked down upon?
Yeah, because it's not legalized, right? Because it's not legal. Because, there are cultural things, right? You have black churches, the whole black church movement. There are cultural things, but it's not legal. Any black person or brown person or white person could go to any place like that. And if you're kicked out, it's going to be a big, huge issue. So this is why it's like, okay, it's all good.
Yeah, but doesn't keeping this system the way this system works, doesn't keeping it work against the goal of objective equality, like everyone being equal?
Good question. Maybe. But maybe also it's just that it's okay. You know, it's just like you can't, people are drawn to other people with whom they share something with culturally. Like, you know, you come over here and you probably hang out with other Emiratis or Khaliji students or something, right?
Which could be black or white.
Could be black or white. Yeah, and you could say like, and we could say, yeah, you don't really want to do that all the time because, you know, you want to meet some Americans, like, or maybe somebody from Argentina or China or wherever. But, you know, but it's still, you're going to do that. And so that's kind of where we are today in the world. Yeah, that's a really good question.
I was like looking at a lot of the pictures that are up, especially the first couple that you were with, like that was protests and stuff. I was thinking like if they were in color, like easily could have been confused with stuff that you've seen today with other protests like the Black Lives Matter movements and other like those things. But then these photos that are more recent, like, I mean, maybe it's just that I haven't seen them, but I don't think that they're.
This isn't more. This is like this particular photo. I think is 1960 or 64.
I was like recognizing that there's similarities and that there's still like people fighting for the like for Black Lives Matter and that kind of stuff, but I don't think that there's as much. I mean, there's definitely still people that like have the Confederate flag up for sure, but it's not like as 50-50.
Agreed.
And I want to know like why, because I feel like we've changed a lot since the 60s, but like why is it still the same thing?
This is awesome.
And then also to expand on what he was saying, where we've seen like a lot more recently too, where you said it before too, with like black-owned businesses, or even like when I was applying for colleges, there are like colleges that specifically market themselves as like predominantly black or any other race or anything. And it makes sense, but it also like I feel like it's more separation, and I agree that we should like be uplifting and all of that. It's just
we still have some separation, but not in the way that it was. Okay, this is what's really important. Not in the way that it was. By the way, these are the Black Panthers. The Black Panther Party was a movement of black people who started to be like, go back one, as white people are responding like this, or go back one more. White people responding like this, go forward two now. Then you have a lot of young black men are going like, oh no, we're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to police ourselves. We're going to start our own schools. We're going to start our daycare centers. We're going to start restaurants. We're going to have homeless shelters. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then why wouldn't you do that? Bro, you would do that, right? I mean, if the whole world was shitting on your family and your people, you might come together with other young white guys and be like, hey, we got to band together here and like look out for ourselves, man. Would you do that?
Yeah, I'd fuck y'all up.
Yeah, okay, exactly, man. So you're fun. All right, go to the next one. Look at this right here. I just want to show you this. In the United States, 1959, do you approve or disapprove of marriage between whites and blacks? So this is kind of responding to you. 1959, 4%. 2013, 87%. People were not like wanting to get along. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like oh yeah, okay, we got this. No, you see, like we're not going to let you get along. Next one. So now we have a black man, African American man, half anyway, in the White House. That's why. Do y'all understand how far we've come? Slavery and Jim Crow and one thing after another. Like, here we are. This is amazing how far we've come in this sense. But let me show you one final thing. Remember this? But we still got all this intergenerational wealth that is mostly in the hands of white people. We're gonna work that out a little bit.